Good morning, everybody. Singer-songwriter Gavin DeGraw broke onto the music scene in 2003 with his debut album, Chariot, which sold over 1 million copies. And last month, he released his new single, Best I Ever Had. And this summer, he's touring with Train and Script. And Gavin joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for getting up, because I know when you're a singing
you.
star like you want to sleep in.
Yes, well, there's always a temptation, but I'd rather be here working in the morning than sleeping and getting no press.
There you go.
So,
Smart.
Glad to have you.
So happy to be here.
How'd the concert go last night? Because not only did you get up
Concert was
early, you did perform here in Toronto last night. That's a
Yes, we
great
did.
venue, the Molson Amphitheater outside.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. You know, we're out on tour with Train right now, and Michael Franti performed last night with us as well, Ashley Monroe, and it was an amazing day. I was expecting it to be a little bit cooler outside than it was. You know what I mean? It was very hot and very sticky, and I think I sweat out every drop of moisture in my body last night. I stopped sweating ultimately, and that's when I realized I needed to have another bottle of water.
It's a good concert. I was at a concert there recently, and everybody was recording with their smartphones and their iPads. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mentioned it in my song, actually. In the Best I Ever Had, I mentioned it. I say, a night sky full of drones, this neighborhood of clones. I'm looking at the crowd, and they're staring at their phones. And so, as a musician, it's funny because, you know, you look out in the audience, and a lot of times they're experiencing the moment, but they're only looking at it through their very small screen on their phone. You know what I mean? So they're holding up their phones, and it's exciting, and at the same time, you're like, oh, I wish you would just experience it fully right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a comedian who does a good thing. I think it's Louis C.K. who does a great thing about how people are doing that, and he's like, just put that down. It's the most 3D.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
you're like, I want to remember.
High res.
Yeah, I want to remember this moment. Like, can you imagine like your first kiss? If you're like, no, hold on a second, I'm gonna do my first kiss. But I want to like record this for the. You know what I mean? So, versus experiencing the moment 100%.
Right.
And the fact that you relate that in your song, and that's one of the things that people, when I say, well, what do you like about Gavin DeGraw? And they say the fact that he relates real life experience, your own, right back to what your parents did for a living, to what you experience every day. And is it heartfelt in terms of, do you edit yourself on the fly?
Thank you for the compliment. But I think that there's always a debate when you're creating music between your creativity and then your editing mechanism. And so what I have to do is I have to essentially just write everything down and get everything out. And then at the end of the day, I'll play it for some friends or family and say, what do you think? And if they say, you know what, that line is a little too brutal, or maybe you're getting a little too honest, you know what I mean? I'll say, okay, well, maybe I can nix that and cross that out and make it work. You know?
Not Over You is about...
Not Over You is about, it has nothing to do with my ex-girlfriend. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So all this writing is thanks in part to your brother, right? Because when you picked up and you started to learn the piano and you started to perform, your brother, I think, was the one who encouraged you to write your own music.
For sure, yeah. My brother, I was blessed with an older brother, which made us very competitive, and anyone with a sibling of the same gender probably experiences that, and because there's some weird natural competition that happens there, and he really did challenge me. We were playing cover bands and things like that as teenagers, and he said, if you don't write songs, well, why should anybody remember you? And I said, okay, I guess that's a challenge, Joey, you know, and I'll take it, you know. So so it really did inspire me to kind of compete with him in that capacity, you know. And we both write songs, and we both kind of share each other's songs with each other when we're writing them, and get each other's opinion on them.
Something very challenging happened to you not too long ago in New York. You were attacked.
It was bad. Yeah, I was right in the middle of a tour 2 years ago. I was in the middle of a tour with Maroon 5 and Train, and I had a night off in New York City, and I own a couple of bars in New York City and in Nashville with my brother called the National Underground. I was hanging out, having some fun, hanging out with friends, and I was walking home, and I had a run-in with people who I didn't know didn't like me, and maybe they didn't know me, but whatever it is, the chemistry wasn't there for us. You know what I mean? It wasn't love at first sight. Yeah. And then anyway, I totally bludgeoned the bottom of their shoes. I mean, their shoes will never be the same. I mean, they will never be able to replace those shoes ever.
Man.
That influenced your music?
Well, it's funny, you know, I think everything that you experience as a writer ends up somewhere. It ends up in your psyche. Whatever it is, you know, it'll end up in your psyche, which ultimately ends up on paper. So I haven't necessarily written autobiographical versions of it or anything like that, but all of those things become part of your angle when you're writing music.
Right, working stuff out.
Have you written about Dancing with the Stars yet?
I don't know if that's made it in just yet, but
was that fun?
Dancing with the Stars was one of the most exhilarating things I ever did and most horrifying things I ever did.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was so, like, there was so much work involved in it, and we didn't take any time out on tour, so we were doing 100 something hour weeks, you know, with the rehearsals for Dancing with the Stars, with the tour going on, this and that. But the beauty of the show was the community of people within the show. The dancers, the other people who were on the show. I mean, Gladys Knight, Donald Driver. I mean, you really name it. And there was such a great collection of people on the show when I was on the show, and we all still keep in touch. And it really made for a beautiful community, you know. So when I go to LA, I feel like I have more friends there than I had ever had, you know.
Well, you were a brave man going that show. I gotta
Oh
tell
man,
you.
I think that was the bravest thing I've ever done.
I know, I think that would be
Yeah.
terrifying. Gavin DeGraw, thank you so much, and the single that is out
Thank
now
you.
is Best I Ever Had. So nice to meet you.
Great to meet you guys. Thanks so much.
Looking for tour.